There's no pressure. I'll be waiting, and I'll channel this energy so I can give you all of me. All of me. It's been 11 days and 11 nights, and I've been thinking about you constantly and all the time. Maybe I even go down on my knees just to get to where you are and make you mine. I don't wanna rush it. Yeah. I just want you to trust it. We'll be fine. Give it time. There's no pressure. I'll be waiting, and I'll channel this energy so I can give you all of me. All of me. It's been a long day, babe, I go a long way. Don't ever worry if you got me, 'cause you got me. All of the wrongs you've had, I wanna make it right. Just one choice, I won't fight it. Cause it's alright. It ain't my time. There's no pressure. I'll be waiting, and I'll channel this energy so I can give you all of me.
Today we're going to explore the dark side of empowering and the impacts that it have on your children. Normally when we try to uplift, but sometimes we need to step back into things and talk about how we may foster children to have entitlement or even behavioral issues, or how we can promote realistic self-assessments and improving that, as well as placing clear boundaries and guidance for healthy empowerment. Welcome to Blended Healing. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Empowerment is something that we usually celebrate as a positive parenting skill. And we believe it to foster independence in our kids, self-confidence, and resilience. But what happens when we empower our children and it's misapplied or it's excessive? Those type of behavior, even though it's unintended, can lead to negative consequences. We all seen how when we go into a store, I'm thinking about it. When we go into a store, right? And then you got that one badass kid just doing the most, and the parent is like besides themselves because they can't control it. And we be like, that kid needs to get that ass whooped. You know what I mean? And that's what we pretty much say in our mind. Or if you go into a room and you hear a lively debate between a child and the parent. And the child is talking all out of pocket. Or what about a kid that gets stuff and they're so used to getting the high end stuff, how they pass out and act out? I'm talking about shit like that. We've all seen it firsthand. We all seen it firsthand. Our society focuses on personal empowerment overall and using your voice for self advocacy. And then sometimes it can reach its limits and beyond. What about entitlement and authority issues? When parents treat children as their peers, children may begin to see themselves as equals in the decision making. I've seen that too. And that leads to a sense of entitlement because they may be going over there and the parent wants to be your friend instead of being the parent. And those kids believe that they have the right to dictate rules and expectations within the house. And then what they end up doing is they start challenging you in your parental authority. And we know that all we're trying to do is provide structure and some boundaries. It is a known fact that kids need clear boundaries in order for them to feel secure and develop self-discipline and respect for authority. And when kids are given too much power and given responsibilities that are not theirs, they will develop an unrealistic expectation about what their capabilities are and what their rights are. You know? Using this as an example, no harm, no foul, no judgment zone here. In some family makeup, and I've seen it, that's why I can speak to it, that they get the oldest children to watch the other children. Now, I can understand the older kids helping out with a parent, especially if they're working and stuff like that, and they need to have that child, to get the other kids off the bus or so on and so forth. I get that part. But when you have your children raising other children while your ass is laying in a motherfucking bed on a daily, not on a sick day, but on a daily, they will feel as though they're your equal because now they feel that those kids are their kids. And now if those kids have an issue, are they coming to you or are they going to the older kids? That's giving children too much power. That's giving them too much power. And that can manifest into difficulty for them to accept rules and authority. And they will struggle with frustration and disappointed, and they will have a problematic situation with you. And when these kids are empowered to do so, that will lead to inappropriate behavior. And children may not learn to navigate boundaries effectively. This can cause a lot of issues in your home, and it'll have a ripple effect through that child's life. And behavioral issues may come out in school or any other social environments like the outside of our purview, where they may not accept any type of authority or limitations set on them by teachers or anybody in authority. I'll just put it that way. they act out because now they feel that they are an adult. They feel that they're equal. So why you telling me what to do when they ain't gonna tell me what to do when I get home? So who the hell are you? The boundaries are essential for a healthy development and social functioning of your child. And when there's an absence of an authoritative parenting style, a child will likely not learn to cope with frustration, disappointment effectively, and resist any type of household or family expectations and responsibilities. They're going to start lashing out. And what does that happen? That happens, and you will get them to have anxiety. They're defiant, and they have a hard time managing their emotions because they are such in a reaction mode. The same is applicable when you have helicopter parenting, meaning that you have too much parental involvement. And that also can hinder the development of emotions and independence. Ultimately, what the deal is that your kid is not going to be adequately prepared for adulthood. And they may expect to have their way in all situations and struggle with any type of resilience when they're faced with any setback or no, the word no, or situations that they may have in, and they ain't gonna have no control. And them being not prepared is going to hurt them and their ability to succeed in other environments, not only at home, but in other environments where there's needed cooperation or some compromise and perseverance. I'm just saying. There's got to be some type of balance when you are empowering your kid. And in order to prevent any negative effects of inappropriate empowerment, you have to focus on providing that balance. And that involves setting clear expectation, providing guidance and support, and encouraging your kid to take on challenges while offering appropriate feedback. You know what I mean by appropriate feedback, right? You ain't calling them out of their name, calling them stupid, dumb, or anything like that, ignorant, all of that. You have to understand that a parent has to be present and engaged. You got to be able to offer some praise and criticism in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Let them get their words out and express to you what's going on with them. Otherwise, they're going to shut your ass out. You want to promote growth rather than boosting their self-esteem. Growth. And if you foster growth in them, it's not just about the self-esteem, even though that's important. We as parents need to aim at balancing that empowerment with appropriate authoritative guidance. Here's what we can do. We can set clear boundaries. And if we establish them and create them, and then we enforce the rules that'll help our kids understand the limits and respect authority. Man, listen, me growing up, I wish, what? Man, listen, my people did not play that bullshit. My father used to say, I called you now, right now. and you got to go. But what I did get from them is that they gave me consistent guidance. They still gave me reign because they were so damn tired by me because I was a seventh child that they were so damn tired. By the time they get to me, they said, "You know the rules." Shit. Yeah. And I saw everything that happened with my siblings, for the most part, the ones that were closer to me in my age. And I was like, I ain't never gonna be like them. Mm-mm. So I try to find slick ways to get around stuff. But at the end of the day, I still had those lessons instilled in me, even though I bucked the system. You feel me? But they did give me consistency and they did give me guidance. And what they said, here's the information. This is what you need to know. But I knew that if I was in a situation, all I had to do was pick up the phone and they would come and get my ass because I had a sense of security with them. They encouraged me to be independent. They did. But it was in limits. Like if your ass hit that door, you better, if you didn't see a parent around because they were working, you would write a note and say, "This is where I'm at." And you better make damn sure that's where you was at. They allowed me to make my choices, but they also put a boundary on me too. The only reason why I grew up thinking I was entitled is because I was a brat, because I was the youngest. You know how that goes. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Listen, the other thing that we can do is we can help our kids to evaluate authority. We have to teach our kids to understand and to emphasize that proper authority is to be respected. And it's not something that is infringing on their bodies or their mind or their spirit, but rather as a guide for their growth and their safety. Not everybody that's in authority is respected. So it's up to us to teach them who and who not to respect. We need to structure and let them know about virtuous authority. What is that? That is an authority that is well intended, where we have virtuous people, figures, and systems that help our kids psychologically by offering them a stable and predictable environment. When my kids were small, they knew when they came in that house that there was going to be some dinner stewing up in that house. They knew that they had to sit down and get that homework done at the table. They knew that they can come and ask me questions if they didn't understand it, and I would be hovering around and listening to how their day was and trying to give them some advice and like, you know, what happened on a day-to-day basis, listening to the antics and shit like that. Sometimes authoritative parenting will balance it out with warmth. And like, unlike an authoritarian person, you know, who's rigid, and you got to find somebody who's permissive. There's two ends of the spectrum. You have an authoritarian who's rigid, and then you have somebody who's permissive, which is lenient, and then you got somebody who's neglectful, who's uninvolved. Authoritative parenting, authoritative parenting will foster a healthy balance of independence and respect for rules and boundaries. You got to find a balance between authoritarian and permissive, being rigid in certain cases and being lenient in others. You got to find a balance. But treating kids as your peers and allowing them excessive influence is going to lead to a sense of entitlement. They're going to have difficulties with authority. They're going to have emotional and behavioral issues. And kids require clear boundaries, point blank, period. They need consistent guidance to feel secure and develop self-discipline and respect for you and for the rules. And without those things, they will struggle with frustration. They will be defiant and they will have emotional regulation issues. They will be reacting instead of responding. And they will find themselves unprepared for real world challenges. We have to stop the bleed in the family. We got to stop the bleed in the family. There's risk. We got to learn how to deal with those risks. And as parents, we aim for balanced empowerment by setting clear expectations, providing consistent and fair guidance, and encouraging independence within limits. We need to teach our kids to evaluate and respect proper authority and to understand it as a guide for growth rather than an infringement on them being empowered. We got to stop the bleed in our family. We need more structured environments. We need virtuous authority figures that can help our kids develop psychologically. Excuse me, talking too damn much. We need to offer the stability that they need, and that's essential for their emotional and social development. And by adopting this authoritative parenting style, which balances firmness with our warmth, that can help us foster a healthy balance of independence and a respect for the rules. We have to stop the bleeding and get a hold of our kids. They are running amok. They are running amok. We have to equip our kids effectively. But we need to maintain structure and authority to guide their development and to ensure that they grow into a well-rounded, resilient individuals capable of navigating life's complexities. That wasn't too bad, was it? All right. Don't cuss me out. I just had to bring that out because, you know, our kids are running amok, man. Our kids are running amok. And I know as a parent, we end up throwing our hands up in the air because we just say we can't deal with this shit. And then you send them to the other parent for them to try to do something. But it's a collective effort. And stop making your kids grow up too damn fast. Having them discipline the other kids and shit like that. We all need the help. But they should not be the alternative parent while you over there smoking weed and shit like that. You feel me? All right. No harm, no judgment zone here. Much respect. All right. Be well, stay safe. Ashe and deep bow. And I shall see you all very, very soon.